All right, can you hear me okay? Okay, well, first of all, the views and opinions expressed within the sanctuary are not necessarily the views of Worldwide Ministries of Unity or anybody else, but we hope that they are. Enough said, right? We have a tradition in the theater that when we come to the front door of the church or the temple of Dionysus, as the theater is referred to in ancient Greece, that we wipe our feet off the mat of all the world's travails and worries, and we enter into a place of sanctuary where we hopefully find a place where we can, um, what's the word, transcend from our ego selves to our higher divine nature. Once again, my name is Jeff. Glad to be here. It's my honor and privilege to be able to stand here and express, hopefully through me, a certain facet of the divine within me. Okay, thank you. Everybody on Zoom. And as you know, and we've said before, our theme for this month, the power and ability is life, and the theme being joy, life, light. So we're trying to truncate those three elements together, those themes together. And I find it interesting, being third in line in terms of speaking on the theme, it's kind of like I have the crumbs to pick from because everybody pretty much has covered the ground in terms of these themes, and they've done it so well. Michael and Nancy, of course, spoke last week. So we three kings. I kind of picked that song because I saw the king of joy, the king of life, the king of light, and how we can approach these ideas through divine expression. Joy to the world, all the boys and girls. Joy to the fishes in the deep blue sea. Joy to you and me. That was written by a fellow that I had the pleasure of doing some shows with, Hoyt Axton. I have a funny story to tell about him and his band. We were doing a show together in Salmon, Idaho. And some of the boys in the band on the way to Salmon were arguing. Well, they're looking at the map and say, well, it says Salmon with an L, but the people say salmon. So when we get into town, the first place we stop, we'll ask them how you pronounce the name of this town. So they get into town and they stop and they walk up into this establishment. And there's a lady at the counter, and the two band members talk to her and say, me and my friend here, we're having an argument how you pronounce the name of this place. So we want you to say it real slowly so we can hear how you enunciate and pronounce it. And she said, all right, Dairy Queen. To me, it brings me joy telling that story because it just shows you, our inability to really truly connect and communicate sometimes in terms of our misrepresentation or misperception of things, and how we come away with an understanding that is not necessarily right. Dairy Queen. Anyway, it's a true story. It actually happened. Another thing, I was driving around town and I got reminded about how many people remember Ram Dass? He used to be Richard Alpert, a famous psychologist, and he was in association with Timothy Leary, and everybody basically knows the backstory. But then he went on to go on a spiritual journey, and he wrote quite some incredible works. His most notable being "Be Here Now," and it's a great study in being present, being mindful. Be here now. And that's when you're really being diligent with your spiritual practice. And I saw a bumper sticker the other day. It said, I'll be there later. As you know, that's kind of a comfortable philosophy, flexible, so you can work on my own time schedule in terms of my spiritual practice. I'll be there later. Like, procrastination is a great thing. But it's, these kind of things bring joy to me, These things make me feel alive and give more texture and depth to life. And through that, I can express that light that's within me and with all of us about our divine nature. Being a student of Unity, of course, I like to go for the definitions from Charles Fillmore about these words we're using. And he has this to say about joy in the revealing word. And it's very, very brief here. Joy, the happiness of God expressed through his perfect idea, man, or humankind, let's say, updated. Joy and gladness are strength giving, especially if the mind is fixed on the things of spirit. And so we affirm, the joy of the Lord is my strength. That's great, It's just it's like joy. What I read is like it's a part of gratitude, and appreciation. And when we're in a state of gratitude and appreciation, we better reflect the divine within us and express that hopefully to our fellow men and women that we share our lives with. Charles's second wife, Cora, had this to say concerning joy to a degree. This is from her book that's attached to the 12 Powers. And she says this, I quote, "But in grasping these spiritual powers, we should not make hard work of it. Often metaphysicians are so bent on their spiritual demonstrations that they squeeze the joy and freedom out of our lives. A joyful, carefree heart is one of the most valuable assets in demonstrating health and wholeness. Exalted joy is coordinate with gratitude and praise. And it is consciousness abounding in gratitude and praise that directly relates us to God so that we may be awakened and thrilled with the creative impulses of divine mind. Indeed, if a person would be master in the realm of creative ideas, he must be free from worry and doubt and misgivings, and be filled with joyful peace and anticipation. These qualities are the magnets that draw him or her new inspiration out of the superconsciousness. And as we go along, new thought is becoming old thought, such as New Age is now becoming really old age, because we've been discussing these metaphysical concepts for a while now. In the beginning, Unity was kind of thought of a kind of a denomination of Christianity. And so I remember a story of someone saying of Unity, "Oh, that's that church that lets anybody in." Oh yeah, that's right. Open and accessible to all. So we're true to our mission here. But it's an amazing thing that we can express that when we're in a joyful state. That we are really at that time radiating an expression of the divine within us. It's like there's nothing between you and I it's just that glue that holds us together as humankind, the God within all of us. We all connect. So joy is a good place to be. Joy is for me, in my opinion and viewpoint, is that it's innate within us. It's not like something we have to go after and search and strive for. It's a matter of us being able to just release it, uncover, reveal it within us, our own selves at any given moment. How do we do that? Well, usually here in Unity, we do it through meditation, prayer, and coming to church every Sunday to kind of refresh ourselves and to remember. We're constantly, in terms of our spiritual journey and practice, we're constantly in a process of reawakening to the divine within us and focusing on that. It's one thing to be here. It's another thing to walk out that door and exercise those principles in our daily affairs with our associates or whoever we're dealing with out in the real world. So it's important that we remember to stay awake. Or as Neil Young said in one of his songs, people are sleeping in their shoes, because there's so much unconsciousness going on in the world that it's uh, it's an opportunity and a challenge for those who practice their spiritual path to be able to reflect that and do it in a joyful way. Um, Moving on to life. That's a big, big, big canvas there. So I will go back to the revealing word and see what Charles has to say about life. What did he say? Where did he say it? Somewhere in here. Da, da, da. Okay. Here we go. This is a little bit of a mouthful, so please bear with me. Charles says, life, that expression of being which manifests as animation, activity, vigor. Life and substance are ideas in divine mind. Life is the acting principle, substance, and the thing acted upon. In the phenomenal world, life is the energy that propels all forms to action. Life is not in itself intelligent. It requires a directive power of an entity that knows where and how to apply its force in order to get the best results. In order to give man a body having life in itself, God had to endow him with a focal life center located in the generative organs. The center of activity is in the organism, is also the seat of sensation, which is the most subtle and enticing of all factors that enter into being. But these qualities, sensation and generation, are necessary to man's character. And without them, he would not be the complete representative or image and likeness of God. Interesting. Life does not emanate from the mind. It is not a psychic or purely mental quality, nor does it spring from the physical. Life is divine, spiritual, and its source is God, Spirit. The river of life is within man in his spiritual consciousness. He comes into consciousness of the river of life through the quickening of spirit. He can truly be quick. He can be truly quickened with new life and vitalized in mind and body only by consciously contacting spirit. And of course, this contact is made through prayer, meditation, and good works. It's interesting. The last thing he has to say about good works. How many of you have done things that have been selfless and seen the result? And how did that make you feel? Did it make you feel like joyful that you were able to do something unconditionally with unconditional love and just forgiving, just giving? And we can look at that as good works. What's the saying? No good deed goes unpunished. Well, hopefully you're working on good karma in terms of doing things that you don't necessarily want to call attention to it, but you're doing good works. Sometimes we're doing good works just by being present and demonstrating the best person, best Christ we can be in conducting our lives and how we conduct our affairs. Cora goes on to explain a little bit about her view on life. She says this. Where is it? Here's the Dalai Lama. Hello. Therefore, no matter where you are on the ladder of life, do not be discouraged. Back of all is God's eternal plan. Back of all appearances, your place in the world is waiting for you, and Spirit is with you every step of the way, helping you to bring God's perfection into expression. As you struggle on for the victory, a truer understanding of life appears. As you cease to resist and learn to serve even the forces that would slay you, new strength and trust begin to stir in the heart, and you are no longer at the mercy of sin's consciousness, the adversary which has held you in bondage for so long. And we all have our own, idea and interpretation of what an adversary is. Something that holds us back, either negative self-talk, fundamental Christians say, oh, it's the devil and Satan and all that, or it's evil or whatever. It's adversarial to our own spiritual progress, but I digress. But the redeeming process must be carried on throughout the whole being. Just as spiritual realizations now stamp their images upon us, so when we were in darkness, the malformed, ill-shaped thoughts of the mortal formed their mental concepts in us, and these must now be dealt with. It is through persistent realizations of perfect life, through broadening the vision and keeping the imagination stayed on the perfect patterns of life, that the false concepts are erased and spiritual faculties are established. So that's our work, really, in terms of living our lives. Daily, day in, day out. As I expressed once before in terms of the time we have here on this planet, it's, year by, or decade by decade, year by year, month by month, week by week, day by day, hour by hour, second by second, moment by moment. That's all we have to work with, huh? The funny thing is, in terms of our divine inheritance, we have all the time of eternity to do that, whether we're here or not. That's the wonderful thing about life. Life goes on despite I'm here or not, or you're here or not. Life is life, and that's just the way it is, and that's how it happens. But it's a wonderful experience that we're having as spiritual beings, having the opportunity to see what this being human is all about, both good and bad. And hopefully we're working towards the better part of our natures. And then finally, the last theme point was light. Now, a lot has been said about light. It brightens a darkened room. It enlightens a darkened mind. It puts forth a type of energy that is inexplicable in its effect. But basically, the effect of light is good. Plants grow from light. We are plants. We grow. We need the sunlight to feel good. That's serotonin and all that. The co-writers of Paul Hasselbeck and Cher Holton wrote a wonderful book called Power Up the Abilities, Accelerating Your Abilities. And they talk about consciousness and circling back around a little bit in terms of the consciousness of what we think about life and how we can be more mindful or unmindful about life. And there's 4 categories. There's unconscious life, conscious life from our senses, conscious life from our human personalities, and then conscious life from our true identity or higher self. And so we're constantly working with these different levels of our interpretations and understandings of what life is. The unconscious life is based on cause and subconscious mind, which consists of beliefs that are not in our moment-to-moment awareness. A case in point would be a person who gives a lot of energy to self-deprecating remarks might have an unconscious need for outside validation. 2, the conscious life from our senses, based on something in physicality, we are gleaning through our sight, sound, sense, touch, and or taste. A woman enjoys a massage because the way it feels, the scent of the massage oil, and the soft background music. She invests energy in making massage a part of her regular routine. And thirdly, conscious life from our human personality, based on thoughts, feelings, attitudes, and or beliefs held in human consciousness. If you believe in the power of affirmations to contribute to your ongoing health, you will create powerful affirmations and use them regularly to exercise your body and deny giving power to illness. Kind of that idea of mind over matter, which is a whole different other field of study as we journey through our lives. And lastly, conscious life through our true identity or higher self, based upon divine ideas, laws, and principles. At this level, we give energy to the pursuit of being the best person of Christ we can be. We invest time and energy studying the lives of people who have demonstrated a high level of consciousness, as well as learning about spiritual principles and laws. Most importantly, we enliven our thoughts and actions to apply what we have learned to manifest results in our own lives. So that's the ultimate goal of what we want to do in terms of our spiritual practice. Here in the Western world, we're pretty much, tuned into the whole idea of the Judeo-Christian tradition, Muslim tradition. But there have been avatars, as we well know, all throughout the course of human history, going back, to pre-Krishna and Buddha, and of course later on, Muhammad for the Islamic faith. But they're all basically, these avatars are saying one thing, expressing one thing, the expression of God within, and coming to unity with that God, however, is defined within the cultural context. And so it kind of circles back in terms of that idea of making sure that we understand what's going on when we perceive things, because that's not necessarily what we see as true, or what we know, or what we've been led to believe. It's like the saying says, don't believe what you think. Because we've been conditioned in a lot of ways that we unconsciously are unaware of. So we have to be really question as we move through in our spiritual journey, the motivations, what move us and don't move us through the course of our lifetimes. But ultimately, like all these other avatars, they're beckoning us to radiate the light of God. We are as lamps, as I've said, as an analogy, that our lenses become soot covered because of the challenges and the things that happen in our lives. And gradually that lens gets dirtied, and we need to clean that lens. That's part of our spiritual practice. So our inner light can better radiate to our fellow human beings for all to see. I think the analogy was Jesus said something to the effect of, your lamp should be like a light on the hill for all to see, rather than, hid in the bushes or in the shadows. It is our duty, our responsibility as divine beings to emulate that as much as we can and not fall asleep. We have the constant process of reawakening to our true divine identity. And in that, we are truly expressing light and bringing light to the world. Yes, Jesus said, and I paraphrase, he says, I am the light of the world. And he says, he was our way shower. He said, these things I've done, and you too will do things much greater. And that's quite a challenge from this avatar that we call Jesus, the Christ. The Christ being, of course, God made manifest in us, in humankind. We're approaching the celebration of the birth of Christ consciousness. And I know that Reverend Susan is going to be expressing a lot of the unity thought about that. And my opinion is that Christmas is every day. We have to look at that Christ child within us and nurture it and care for it and love it. So in turn, we're able to love one another. Probably one of Jesus' greatest commandments was to love one another. And so I'll leave you with that thought of joy, life, and light. Be the light of the world for all to see. Walk out this door and say, how can I best radiate who I truly am today and every day? Namaste. Hey, Kathy, are you around, Kathy? Oh, probably a little meditation tinkle on the piano. Thank you. We're gonna take a little time for meditation. So I invite you to find a comfortable spot within you, and we'll have a few words connect with our divine presence. And I'll be reading meditation from an author by the name of Martha Schmock from The Eternal Quality of Life. So let's go ahead and close our eyes. Take 3 deep breaths. And allow the presence to come into your sense of consciousness. Sit back and abide in peace and serenity as we sit by the river of life. Let those worries and cares float by in the river. Look at them, then release them. We come to this place to refresh our spirit and to connect with the divine within. We are truly blessed, especially during this particular time of the year of love, family, friends, giving and receiving, remembering the reason for the season, the birth of the Christ consciousness within us all. The gateway, the gateway to the eternal presence of the living God within us. For this, we are happy, we are joyful, and we are thankful and full of gratitude every day of our lives. We have the faith to remember that humankind is more than the surface story, that we are more than we seem. We look at life not as finite, but as infinite, without beginning or ending, part of the whole, the perfect creation. We not might be able to understand or explain why particular experiences come, but we do know and believe that humankind is the infinite possibility of perfection. Not how humankind has been born down, or how humankind has failed, or how humankind has suffered, tells the real story of humanity. The real story of humankind is to be found in humanity's triumph, in its overcomings, in the way it has persisted and persisted in the eternal journey. Humankind is on its way toward God. We are all on our way toward putting on the Christ likeness because it is our destiny. We cannot do otherwise because of the eternal quality of life within us. And so on this day, let us remember, to remember, to remember, to remember, to reawaken to our true identity, our Christ identity, the Christ in you, the Christ in me, the Christ in all of us, the hope of glory, as said in Corinthians. And abiding in this place of peace and serenity, let us be restored once more, once again, for now and forevermore. And so it was, so it is, and so it shall be. Thank you, Mother, Father, God. Thank you for the Christ in all of us. And so we pray this prayer of joy for life and light. Blessings to the world. Okay. Okay. So it is. We return to this room and kind of reawaken, as we're always constantly doing. It's like, sometimes the hardest thing in the wintertime for me is to open my eyes and get out of a warm bed. We're going to say our prayer for protection. So here we go. Ready? The light of God surrounds us. We are the light. The love of God enfolds us. We are the love. The power of God protects us. We are the power. And the presence of God watches over us. We are the presence. Wherever God is, and all is well. We are one. So true. So